She filed for divorce via text message. 3 days later, I took everything she owned. But then I discovered a secret that could have got me killed. And that was just the beginning. They say life changes slowly and then all at once. For me, it happened on a Tuesday. I was knee-deep in budget projections at work, surrounded by cold coffee and colder deadlines, when my phone buzzed. One line, no punctuation, no emotion. I want a divorce. Please direct all future communication through my lawyer. It was from Olivia. 15 years of marriage. Gone. Deleted like a bad text message. I read it again. And again, my brain refusing to load the update, like some cheap browser stuck buffering. Nothing had warned me. No late-night arguments. No quiet distance. Just last night, we'd had takeout, joked about the neighbor's hideous Christmas lights, made weekend plans. It felt real. It felt normal. Now it was vapor. I didn't text back something pathetic like, why? Or, please reconsider. Nope. I just wrote. Understood. It felt robotic. Cold, but weirdly freeing. She wanted cold and legal? Fine. She was about to find out what cold really meant. First move, credit cards. She had 2 under my accounts. Authorized user only, not joint. I logged in, clicked remove user, and that was it. No warning. No debate. Cut. Second move, monthly transfers. Olivia had been getting a tidy sum wired straight into her personal account for discretionary spending. Canceled. Immediate. No ceremony. Third move, shared subscriptions. Netflix, Prime, Spotify, Hulu, all under my name. Logged out every device. Changed passwords. If she wanted to watch The Crown now, she'd have to crown herself with a subscription. Fourth move, her car. Technically leased under my name. Insured by my policy. Didn't pull the insurance yet. Not out of kindness. But because if she wrapped that car around a tree, I didn't want to be sued into oblivion. Instead, I flagged it for transfer. Noted it for the lawyer. 30 minutes of quiet clicks, and Olivia's financial lifelines were gone. No anger. No screaming. Just brutal acceptance. You send a text like that, you start the war. I'm just matching her energy. By the time her lawyer's email arrived with formal details, I'd already hired mine, Ms. Cole. Top tier. 0 patience for theatrics. I forwarded Olivia's lawyer-only demand straight to her with the subject line. Initiating counsel per wife's directive. Immediate asset protection needed. Then I finished my workday like it was any other Tuesday. No one at the office knew my marriage had been assassinated between spreadsheet tabs. Not even my boss noticed. I drove home. The house was empty. She must have packed while I was out, like a burglar who stole her own life and left nothing but the faint smell of her perfume lingering in the hallways. I stood in the living room for a long time, listening to the silence. It didn't feel tragic. It felt like someone had finally stopped screaming after 15 years of pretending they were whispering. I slept that night better than I had in months. 72 hours later, the call started. Unknown number. Fast, sharp, angry. I knew it was coming. I picked up. "Is this Ethan last name?" barked a stiff voice. Speaking, I said, steady, "This is Mr. Peterson. I represent Olivia, last name. My client is experiencing difficulties." I leaned back in my chair, stared at the water stain on the ceiling. "Here we go. Her credit cards have been declined," he continued, stiffly. "Her financial accounts disrupted. Frankly, this is highly irregular. In separations, financial status quo is generally maintained." "Mr. Peterson," I interrupted, calm as a winter morning. "My wife texted me Tuesday demanding divorce and stating all future communication must go through you." I acknowledged and complied. Informal financial arrangements ended immediately. Silence. Paper shuffling. She needs funds. Now, for necessities, for accommodation. Genuine surprise flickered through me. Accommodation? She's not at the house. "That's not pertinent," Peterson snapped. "You want to talk about what's pertinent?" I said, voice sharpening. She unilaterally ended trust, communication, and support via text. Financial support will be discussed formally, through legal channels, through Ms. Cole. Your prerogative to file for emergency relief if you think it's warranted. Pause. Longer this time. Mr. Peterson's voice dropped a few degrees colder. My client seeks emergency financial relief. Excellent, I replied brightly. Please direct all filings to my attorney. You have her contact details. Click. I hung up. My heart was pounding now, not fear, not sadness, adrenaline, because for the first time in 15 years, I wasn't their puppet anymore. Later that night, sitting at the kitchen table, I pulled out a beer and toasted the silence. You want war by text? You better pray you brought enough ammo. Because the next battle? It's not just about who loved better. It's about who survives the fallout. And I had a lot more left to burn. A week after Olivia's text, the real game started. It wasn't enough that she tried to ghost me out of our marriage like a cheap horror movie. Now she wanted back in, but only through my wallet. Ms. Cole, my lawyer, called after her first chat with Mr. Peterson. You're not crazy, she said bluntly. You're methodical, smart. We're going to use that. Apparently, Mr. Peterson's emergency filing was aggressive. Olivia was seeking temporary spousal support way above what she ever spent, exclusive use of the marital home, which she already abandoned, and a charming little cherry on top, demands for me to cover all her legal fees. Entitlement level, boss raid, final boss. Ms. Cole counter hard. Realistic support based on actual living needs, not maintaining a lifestyle she walked away from. No exclusive use of the house. She left voluntarily. Legal fees? She's a grown-up. Pay your own ticket to the courtroom. Olivia. 2 nights later, the personal attacks kicked off. Phone rings. I answer like an idiot, thinking maybe it's a delivery or my accountant. Wrong. It's Haley, Olivia's best friend, professional instigator, self-appointed guardian of all victims everywhere. Ethan, she snapped, voice full of fury. What the actual hell is wrong with you? No hello. No polite small talk. Hi, Haley, I said dryly. Good to hear from you. Don't good to hear me. Olivia is living on my couch. She can't even buy groceries because you cut her off. She's homeless. She's devastated. I sipped my beer. Imagine she could hear it. Olivia demanded divorce. Via text. Ordered all future communication through her lawyer. I complied. Finances included. You know she barely works. You know she can't survive without help. Haley shrieked. And you know, I said calmly, that she should have thought about that before she burned the bridge. She's now screaming from the bottom of... You're heartless. Maybe, I said, but I'm not stupid. Click. Hung up. Added Haley unhinged phone call to my documentation file. Date. Time. Summary. Ms. Cole's orders. Document everything. 2 days after that, the real bomb dropped. Bank alert. Attempted withdrawal from an ancient joint savings account we'd both forgotten existed. Only $500 in it. More symbolic than serious. But still, Olivia tried to drain it. She found the old debit card somewhere, like a dog digging up bones, and went for the loot. The bank flagged it instantly because the account had been dormant for years. I went down there personally, handed them a copy of our pending divorce filing, and froze it. Not because I needed the money, because principle matters when you're at war. Miss Cole nearly purred when I told her. It shows, she said, that she's not just passively waiting for support. She's actively trying to back-channel resources outside the process she demanded. That plays very, very badly in court. Meanwhile, Olivia's lawyer, Mr. Peterson, seemed to realize his client was not exactly the dream plaintiff he hoped for. His tone shifted in emails from righteous anger to stiff politeness. Translation: he knew he'd bet on the wrong horse. We were heading for the first hearing, emergency spousal support. And now I wasn't just reacting. I was planning. I flagged the car again, filed paperwork to either force her to take over the lease or return it, started appraisal paperwork on the house to secure full legal control. No more maybe I'll come back nonsense. Every shared string we once had, I was snapping it one surgical cut at a time. In the dark hours of those nights, I wrestled with it all. The temptation to lash out. The temptation to fall apart. The temptation to send some long emotional email about betrayal, memories, love lost. But then I remembered. She didn't even give me a conversation. She gave me a lawyer's email address. So now, she was going to get exactly what she ordered. Business-level coldness. Legal-level consequences. And if she thought she could storm out, burn down the house, then scream for a fire extinguisher, she was about to find out. I don't hand out mercy to arsonists. The night before the hearing, I stood outside on my porch, looking at the stars. The house, so quiet, felt like a cathedral after the choir fled. I wasn't broken. I wasn't grieving. I was sharpening myself into something new, something colder, something smarter, something she couldn't touch again. The war was about to go public, and I was going to play her game better than she ever dreamed. Courtrooms are strange places. They smell like anxiety, old paper, and broken dreams. I sat in the stiff wooden chair, watching Olivia cross the aisle. She looked small, expensive coat draped over skinny shoulders, face pale, without her usual filters. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Good. I didn't want apologies. I wanted her to feel it. Mr. Peterson stood up first, his voice heavy with manufactured sorrow. My client has been left destitute, cut off, homeless, forced to couch surf, while Mr. Last Name continues to live comfortably in the marital home. He gestured like he was presenting a charity case to a room of billionaires. I kept my face blank. Bored, even. Ms. Cole rose smoothly, initiating text message from the petitioner. She said crisply, holding up a blown-up screenshot, "I want a divorce. Please direct all future communication through my lawyer." The judge adjusted his glasses, nodded slightly. Ms. Cole pressed harder. "Following this message, my client lawfully ceasing formal financial support, pending formal agreements. No notification, no discussion, no plan." She handed over bank statements. Proof I still paid mortgage, utilities, insurance, the big things. Mr. Peterson tried to object. Ms. Cole didn't flinch. "And furthermore," she said, slicing the air with another document, "we have evidence the petitioner attempted to withdraw funds from a dormant joint account after initiating legal-only communication." The judge's eyebrows climbed slightly. Mr. Peterson stammered something about emotional distress. The judge leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "Ms. Last Name," he said, addressing Olivia for the first time, "why was there no prior discussion about financial arrangements before demanding divorce?" Olivia mumbled something about feeling intimidated. No tears. No big dramatic breakdown. Just a small, whimpering collapse. The judge wasn't impressed. In the end, the ruling was simple. Temporary support granted, but nowhere near what Olivia demanded. Enough for rent, groceries, basics. No funding for spas, gym memberships, designer anything. Ms. Cole had destroyed her credibility in under 15 minutes. I walked out of the courtroom feeling 10 pounds lighter, until my phone buzzed. It was a text from Olivia, breaking her own lawyer-only rule. "Ethan, you can't take the car. How will I get anywhere? Plus stop this." No punctuation. No plan. Panic bleeding through every pixel. I didn't respond. I just screenshot it, emailed it to Ms. Cole. 2 minutes later, she replied, "Perfect. Shows desperation. Keep documenting." But it wasn't over. 2 days after court, the real desperation hit. Anonymous complaint filed with my company's HR department. Allegations. Misuse of company resources for personal legal battles. Erratic behavior suggesting instability. I almost laughed. Almost. Because if I hadn't been documenting everything, it might have worked. But HR checked my logs. No misuse. No weird behavior. My boss called me into a meeting, leaned back in his chair, and said, "Look, man, we know it's BS. We have to document it, but don't sweat it." The anger didn't come then. It came later. Alone, in my car. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about annihilating me, piece by piece. She wasn't just trying to bleed me dry. She was trying to salt the earth where I stood. The next night, the guilt grenade hit. Olivia's mother called, sobbing, "Ethan, how could you do this? After everything she gave you, she's your wife." Ex-wife, I almost said, but instead, I just repeated the script. Olivia chose the legal path. Communication through lawyers only. Financial support already established by the court. "Where's your compassion?" she snapped. I wanted to laugh so badly it hurt. Where was hers when Olivia packed up our life behind my back and served me my own execution order by text? I hung up after repeating, "I cannot discuss this." Direct communication through lawyers. Blocked the number. Logged the call. Sent the record to Ms. Cole. Meanwhile, back-channel whispers reached me. Olivia wasn't just complaining. She was drowning. Haley, her once biggest cheerleader, was getting fed up. Turns out, it's a lot easier to back a friend in a drama when it doesn't involve cleaning up real-world wreckage. Money, housing, work, adult things. Things Olivia never planned for because she assumed she'd always have me as her backup generator. Without me, reality was setting in like a slow, merciless flood. And for the first time, I didn't feel sorry. Not even a little. Sitting in my empty living room that Friday night, I realized something else. I wasn't just surviving the divorce. I was being reborn by it. Every stupid sacrifice I made, every fight I swallowed, every compromise I bled for, it all led to this. To being sharper, harder, less willing to kneel for people who'd sell me out the moment it was convenient. And the best part? The best part was knowing she didn't just lose a bank account. She lost the only person who ever gave a damn about her without asking for something first. But the story wasn't done. Because 2 weeks later, Ms. Cole called me with a chilling new discovery. "Ethan, we found something in Financial Discovery." Olivia wasn't broke. She was hiding assets, hidden accounts, inherited stocks, thousands. She lied to the court, and now we have proof. I sat there, stunned, not because I was surprised she lied, but because even after everything, I still underestimated how low she would crawl to win. When Ms. Cole called about Olivia's hidden assets, it didn't feel real at first. Separate savings account, inherited stocks from a distant uncle, thousands tucked away under her maiden name. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to nuke her "I'm a helpless victim" narrative into orbit. And the best part? She had commingled some of it. Meaning, legally, it wasn't all hers anymore. Marital property, subject to division, game, set, match. Court was set for final asset division. The week leading up to it, Olivia and her lawyer went deathly quiet. No more fake emergencies. No more crocodile tears. Because now, for the first time, they weren't hunting me. They were bleeding out, trying to minimize the damage. The morning of the final hearing, I woke up calm. Dead calm. Coffee. Shower. Suit. No rage. No anxiety. Just the methodical chill of someone who knew he was about to walk into a courtroom and dismantle a lie. Piece by piece. With receipts. Olivia showed up late. Pale. Drawn. Hair messy. Suit jacket too big. Like a kid playing dress-up. I almost felt bad. Almost. Inside, it unfolded like clockwork. Ms. Cole laid out everything with brutal efficiency. The hidden savings account, the inheritance stocks, the multiple attempts to siphon dormant accounts after demanding legal separation. Every detail, signed and time-stamped. The judge leaned back, steepled his fingers, and looked at Olivia like she was a kid caught shoplifting candy from a church. Mr. Peterson tried damage control, blamed emotional confusion, forgetfulness, trauma. The judge wasn't buying it. When he spoke, his voice was flat as concrete. "Ms. Last name, your actions indicate a repeated pattern of bad faith. Your concealment of assets significantly impacts this court's view of equitable division. Translation, you're screwed. The settlement terms came down like a guillotine. House equity? Almost 50-50. Slight edge to me to compensate for her hidden assets. Stocks? Split. She lost most of what she tried to hide. Spousal support? Limited. 2 years. Amount? Way below what she wanted. Enough to survive, not to thrive. Even better? Each paid their own legal fees. No blood money from me to fund her next little fantasy life. And then came the final death blow. The car. Remember the leased car Olivia refused to return? Ms. Cole filed the paperwork quietly weeks ago. I stopped making payments. Sent official notice to the leasing company. 30 days later, repoed from right outside Haley's place. Middle of the day, tow truck, screech of tires, neighbors watching. And because Olivia had ignored all notices, it dinged her credit. Hard. The meltdown was immediate. Voicemail from Haley, text from Olivia's mom, even an email from Olivia herself, breaking her own rules again. I can't believe you would do this to me. I have nothing left. I didn't reply, just archived it, added it to the file. Proof that even in her defeat, she still thought she deserved everything and owed nothing. A week after the final hearing, I stood in my empty house, technically still mine, for now, until it's sold. Echoes bouncing off the walls like ghosts. It should have felt hollow, lonely. Instead, it felt clean, like standing in a field after a wildfire. Everything dead, everything ugly, everything ready to grow again. Friends asked me if I was going to celebrate, go wild, party, get revenge. No, that's not how you win against people like Olivia. You don't flex. You don't brag. You don't sink back into the pit trying to gloat. You win by living better, stronger, smarter, without them. And most of all, you win by becoming the kind of person they'd never even recognize anymore. Later that night, scrolling through old photos, I stumbled across a text thread from years ago. It was from Olivia. Early days, when she used to call me her safe place. When she used to say, "You make me feel like no one else does." Funny thing about safe places, people like her don't want safety. They want a vault they can rob blind until there's nothing left. And when they crack it open and find nothing but steel, they call you cruel. They call you heartless. Because you wouldn't let yourself be gutted quietly. As I closed the last folder, shutting the final door on her, I realized something. I wasn't the villain of her story. I was just the first person who ever said no. And that was the one thing she could never forgive. 6 months later, the divorce was just a footnote on my calendar. Finalized, filed, forgotten mostly. Olivia didn't crash the final court dates. Didn't send long, tearful apologies. Didn't even throw one last dramatic Hail Mary. She faded out the same way she ended our marriage. Quick, cowardly, quiet. After it was all over, there were no fireworks, no victory lap, just a long, slow rebuilding. Getting my life back in ways too small for social media. New locks, new furniture, new routines. I took up boxing classes, picked up night classes in finance, started traveling, alone, places I used to dream about while married to someone who thought going to the next town over was too much. And slowly, without realizing it, I became someone I didn't recognize. Not colder, just lighter, harder where I needed to be, and softer in ways I hadn't allowed myself to be before. Because no one was standing there, demanding I trade pieces of myself for their comfort. About 3 months after the settlement, I ran into Haley, at the gym of all places. She didn't notice me at first, too busy arguing with a receptionist about late fees. But when she saw me, her face crumpled. "Hey, Ethan," she said, like nothing had ever happened. I nodded, polite, indifferent. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. "Olivia's not doing so well." There it was, the fishing line baited with pity. I shrugged. I hope she figures it out. Haley looked stunned, like I was supposed to collapse in guilt. Rushed back in with an open checkbook and a bleeding heart. Instead, I smiled, small, tired, free, and walked away without looking back. But the real ending? It came a month later. Random Wednesday night. I was at home, reviewing some travel plans, when an unknown number texted. "I made mistakes. I see that now. I miss you. Please can we talk?" No name attached, but I knew the rhythm, the need pulsing underneath the words. Olivia, still trying to find a crack in the door she'd kicked down herself. still believing she could waltz back in after the dust settled, after the consequences came knocking and she finally realized no one was coming to save her. I stared at the screen for a long moment, not with anger, not even sadness, just understanding. Some people aren't sorry they hurt you. They're sorry you stopped letting them. I didn't reply. I didn't even block the number. I just deleted the message. Because silence, that's the purest kind of closure you can ever give someone who tried to destroy you. In the end, Olivia didn't just lose the house, or the car, or the lifestyle. She lost me. The real me. The version she thought would always stay. Always bend. Always sacrifice just a little more. And when that man finally died the day she sent that coward's text, something stronger was born. Something she couldn't touch anymore. Not now. Not ever. I turned off my phone, tossed it onto the couch. Outside, the night was deep and clean. New. Wild with possibility. I grabbed my keys, stepped into the dark, and smiled, because for the first time in longer than I could remember, the life ahead of me was mine alone, and it was just getting started.